Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to our first ever Vodcast. Today we're trying something a bit different. We're going to be talking to you about the events and findings and goings on and news from Gamescom 2016. Whilst doing that, we're also going to be playing a bit of WoW. Nothing important, just doing some demonic invasions and general crap. But I thought it might be nice for people to look at stuff whilst we jabbered on. I'm Phil, and with me as always is Jamie.
Hello.
And we were supposed to have someone else, but they dropped out at the last minute through no fault of their own. So it's going to be us talking, as always. So, Gamescom 2016. It was massive and huge, and lots of stuff came out of it. Massive Blizzard kind of appearance there. Lots of Heroes of the Storm streams, Overwatch gameplay, Hearthstone, etc., etc. Really cool. But we're going to shy away from the Blizzard stuff to begin with, and we're going to talk a little bit about some Ubisoft titles. Now, one really exciting thing that came out of Gamescom was that For Honor, a very cool looking kind of alternate history hack and slashy game, swords dueling type thing, is going to have a alpha test on the 15th to the 18th of September, which happily enough is after I get the internet again, which is exciting me a lot. Jamie, For Honor, what do you think? Are you excited about it? Are you looking forward
Yeah,
to
it looks pretty cool. I thought it was going to be more of an MMO when I first sort of just heard about the game and didn't really pay attention. It turns out there's going to be a single player campaign and then a sort of a PvP mode where you can be in teams of one, two, three, or four, I think.
Yeah, I think it goes up to
Um,
4. You know?
it looks really cool. I think initially in this sort of alternate history thing, you can play as Vikings or knights or samurai, and then there's four classes in there, sort of a tank, sort of
I think
specialist.
there's about 6 classes actually. Having
No, there's
looked at
four
some of it.
four initially, I think, for the release. I think they'll probably add more as DLC. Uh,
Okay.
so sort of a tank character, an assassin, a sort of a balanced all rounder, um, and then one that you can sort of customize, that you can pick aspects and I suppose talents from the different classes and create your own,
Yeah, yeah, okay.
which just seems pretty cool. They say that's more for
More
the kind of
advanced player.
yeah the person who wants that extra challenge. Which no, I think it's something a bit different. My only worry is that it might just not have that much depth to it.
hmm
There's only so many times you can hit someone around the head with an axe. He says
I
like
think I
it's
think
described.
a lot of the depth is going to come from how well the dueling system works. So basically, there's sort of three. There's left, right, and upper, like spheres of attack or areas you can attack or
Yeah,
defend. And so it depends on how well that system, how much longevity that system has, and how well it all works and ties together, will really dictate how good a game it really ends up being, because it's basically the core tenet. And I think it's probably closest in my mind to something like Bushido Blade way back on the PS2, which was
hmm,
like a properly hardcore samurai fighting game.
yeah. It's
Um,
almost like a sword combat simulator.
yeah, but I think obviously For Honor, coming from the Ubisoft kind of stable, is going to be a slightly more arcadey take on
Hmm.
that. But I still think it's going to set up some really awesome kind of almost kind of like competitive online esports type moments with 1v1 duels or 2v2. You know, like I think there's going to be a really low skill floor, but a really high skill cap.
Oh yes,
If that makes
definitely,
sense. So I think
definitely.
there's going to be some people out there who will just somehow be able to read the opponent perfectly and always kind of pinpoint where they're going to attack and block it, and riposte and all sorts of kind of fancy things. And the class system, I think, is going to help out a lot. It seems to have kind of a sort of semi-Titanfall-y mode where there's like AI enemy or like allies and enemies running around.
Yeah, it seems to
I
be
think
that
I
gives
saw
you
that.
more of an epic feel to the battle without having to really have massive servers.
Yeah, yeah, definitely.
Um, it is really going to stand or fall on its combat.
Hmm.
Um, if it's clunky or at all in any way, it's going to be rubbish.
Yeah,
Um, you can almost get away with clunky controls with a shooter and still kind of enjoy it, but something that's so melee focused.
yeah,
Um,
especially something that kind of really places importance on reading the enemy and doing the right thing at the right time.
mhm.
It's going to have to be really tight in how it does that. But coming from the sort of similar engine and similar sort of dev house that has done the Assassin's Creed games, and the kind of combat in that has always been pretty good. I have faith that they'll be able to kind of pull it off, because I mean, at its heart, it shouldn't be that simple. You just have to make sure that the net code is good and there's no.
The problem with it is
Syncing issues.
with the combat in Assassin's Creed. Yeah, no, I totally agree. It's amazing, but that's against NPCs
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
that you can program reactions into, and you can, it's going to be something completely different when you're against.
Well, I mean, what I meant more with the Assassin's Creed combat is the feel of it. It felt very kinetic. It felt like when you hit people or stab people, it felt like you could, it felt really oomphy. For want of a better word. And so I think if they can carry that feeling through but have the really tight mechanics around it, I think it'll be really exciting. But I'm certainly really interested to try the alpha test to see how they're getting on. And I think it's really interesting that with this sort of game they're running an alpha test, whereas previously they perhaps shied away from the slightly early accessy beta testy type of things.
I think it's almost expected now.
Oh yeah, no, definitely. It's certainly, you can see it everywhere.
It's we had the you had the Titanfall stream at the weekend.
Yeah.
Which is something fairly similar. Yes, it was a tech test, but really it was like, look, come and play Titanfall and look how cool Titanfall 2 is.
Yeah, definitely.
Really. It gave people a little bit of a chance to try before they buy.
Certainly, it's a good way of drawing in people who perhaps aren't so excited about it. Offering a free way of playing it early for a limited time period is a pretty good way of kind of getting people to be interested in it.
Look how much success they had with the Overwatch open beta.
Yeah, I mean, Blizzard titles have always done pretty good alphas and betas since vanilla WoW.
Mm-hmm. I think they've kind of had to, because their projects are so big, and initially their studio was quite small. I think you finished that off there. You killed
Possibly,
the last.
Yeah. It's just everyone was just milling around. It's like just kill the thing.
Not so much now. Blizzard is a massive studio. Don't get me wrong, but traditionally they weren't. And especially with things like vanilla WoW.
Yeah, no, I mean, obviously you'd be fooled to not test something of that scale.
Yeah,
like destruction 100%. Almost. And even then, it still had a very shaky start.
Yeah, Blizzard never launched well.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I am looking forward to it. I think it looks really cool. There's been a lot of similar games released. There's a few Steam titles. There are these sort of alternate history, medieval combat style games.
Pardon me.
Are you allergic to something?
I think I'm allergic to demons.
Oh well, aren't we all? Things like Mount and Blade and things like that. But the combat never felt that good.
Yeah.
This is going to be really dependent on how good the combat is.
I was concerned at the start that it was going to be just multiplayer focused, because it certainly seemed that way to begin with when they first started showing off, and I don't know whether they just added a single player later in response to sort of those comments, or whether they always planned to have one. But it's the single player, the demo they showed off looks fairly kind of on the rails, bare bones, but if it teaches you how the mechanics work, then exactly. At least that's a more interesting way of just having a basic tutorial than throwing you in the deep end online.
Oh yeah, definitely. My worry with the single player is that it's going to be a bit half-assed. We better put some single player content in, as opposed to it being a single player standalone storyline.
Yeah.
So
well,
DLC for this game. Every race in history ever.
Yeah. I think there's a massive scope for all sorts of. Although they've kind of hit the main three, I can definitely see them adding pirates in some way.
Pirates, Aztecs, I reckon will be in there. Sort of Southern Central American stereotypes. With things like bolas and obsidian clubs, stuff like that would be really cool. Chinese, we've got samurai, but.
Kind of martial arts, more
martial arts, more like monks, that kind of style of play. An Indian sort of
Native American type stuff.
I meant more like.
Oh, you mean South Asia?
Yeah, with sort of that scimitar style. Again, you could do Saracens. There's so much scope.
Yeah, no, definitely.
Um,
Yeah, I think they've picked the three sort of like focus races, as it were.
mhm. Oh yeah, definitely.
But yeah, no, there's massive scope for everything out there. So
Um,
yeah, I think it's a really exciting time. I certainly find myself very enthused by Ubisoft titles. And speaking of which, another one that I'm quite looking forward to, from just a personal interest point of view, is Steep. I don't know if you've actually had that much chance to look at it, Jamie, or how interested in it you are.
I've had a little
Slightly.
bit of a look at it. It seems like it's going to sort of be VR porn. Um, Steep is, for those of you who don't know, Ubisoft's new open world multiplayer uh, esports simulator. Extreme sports simulator. Sorry, not esports, extreme sports. Is that X sports? I don't know. I'm
Yeah,
not down with the
I think
kids.
it is. Yeah.
So downhill everything, snowboarding, skiing, I think mountain biking,
I don't know what this does.
sledging maybe for the slightly uh,
Extreme sledging.
extreme sledging, mountain biking. I think what's the one where you jump
I don't think
off?
there's mountain biking.
Oh, there will be.
Yeah,
Um,
but I mean, I think it's all winter sports. So basically,
is it all winter sports for now?
yeah,
I think there's like base jumping,
yeah. There's
wingsuiting.
wingsuiting and parasailing, paragliding. I'm gonna say. Oh, I died from fall damage. I've died
Um,
like 4 times just trying to kill this guy.
yeah, so have I. I keep getting aggro. I
But
think it's just targets
yeah,
different.
it's basically built for the GoPro generation.
Mm.
It looks amazing. And I think it'll be a really cool chill out kind of game, something you throw on at the end of a stressful day and kind of enjoy the slopes for a bit and see what you can find, and like achievements will be quite a big thing. And poking around in the open world.
Yeah, yeah. The open world looked pretty big. So far, they said the Alps are going to be. I don't know if the whole Alps will be there,
All
but
the
there's going to be
Alps.
all the Alps, and there will be um, an
Yay.
Alaskan mountain.
Yeah.
Um,
Not just any mountain, an Alaskan mountain.
yeah. Go
What
away,
about those?
Gallywix.
You got those.
Um,
Right, where's the other invasion?
Tanaris usually when that one's up. Have you done the one in the Barrens?
I have not.
We'll go do that one
Let's go
then.
to that one. It's nice and close. Cool. But yeah, I mean, basically the big news that came out at Gamescom was just a release date for Steep. So that's coming in December, which is quite apt. Because if we don't
Yeah,
get any
yeah,
snow
definitely.
around here because it's staying at 30 degrees or whatever, then at least we'll be able to pretend it's snowing.
Yeah, yeah. It's it's an interesting title. It's I'll be honest, I'm probably not going to pick it up. It's not really my kind of thing.
Meh, that's fair.
Not because I don't think it looks good, just because I'm not really interested in sort of sports games.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I'm not interested in real sports, so why would I be interested in sports games? But
Pretend
I can
sports.
see what they're trying to do, and like what they're trying to do is really cool.
I mean,
Um,
I personally, I think that it's a genre that's kind of it was left behind. It had a massive resurgence with when the Tony Hawk's games kind of came out. So you had Tony Hawk's, and there were some inline skater games, some BMX games. There was a massive kind of upsurge then, and then from that came sort of the SSX series,
mhm.
and then they kind of had a bit of a return. Was it about 4 years ago with the latest SSX? That
Oh,
came
so
out.
I
It's
think it
something
might
I
even be
remember
longer than
renting it
that.
when I first moved into this flat. So about 4 or 5 years ago. And it was good, but it was, it didn't. I don't think it did particularly well in general, and so it's kind of been
Yeah.
quiet on the kind of extreme sports front. I think the closest I got recently was mountain biking in Grand Theft Auto 5,
Oh yeah, yeah.
which is
I
pretty
think the
fun.
thing with games like that, you tend to. I would suggest you play them with your mates more than you sort of play them by yourself.
Yeah,
Certainly
yeah,
for
I can
me.
see that.
You have your mates round and you take turnabout, winner stays on sort of thing. Um,
Definitely, and that's what kind of
but
was something that I miss that kind of local aspect. A lot of everything tries to push you online these days, and they don't really support local multiplayer or local gaming.
yeah, well, look at Halo. The latest Halo doesn't support local multiplayer.
Yeah,
It's mental.
sad
Um,
times.
Sad times. But But then I think now, if you want to do that, you'll just get a racing game. You'll get Forza. You'll get Formula One, whatever year we're on.
Yeah, but I think it's
Need
interesting that
for
they
Speed,
decided to.
that sort of thing.
I think like extreme sports are on the up again. There is a
Mm.
lot more coverage. Red Bull's sponsorship has changed a lot, especially in the kind of world of mountain biking, downhilling, from that aspect, and also how they push the big extreme events. Even just looking at simple things like the highest free fall thing they did with I can't remember his name now.
Oh yeah, I
That
know
was
the guy.
beaten. Yeah, like all the hype around that. And Red Bull are really pushing these things. So I don't know if it's actually in conjunction with Red Bull. I think they're certainly mentioned in the trailer. I'll have to look this up in a second. Oh dear. Bear with us, folks. Skype just crashed. Yay. Hello?
Hello.
Hello? You want to put your video back on? Because at the moment you're showing off an advert for SanDisk. Jamie? Oh, wait, hang on. This will be a really interesting bit of the stream. Hello?
Hello.
Sorry, Skype crashed.
Oh no.
Yeah. You want to turn your video back on? Because at the moment you're just a black hexagon. Yay, we defeated the Demon Lieutenant. Where were we? We were talking about Steep. Red Bull. So I don't know if there's a direct Red Bull involvement with Steep, but it certainly feels like they're very inspired by a lot of the things Red Bull are doing in extreme sports. I think, and especially like lots of people are using GoPros, lots of people are sharing footage on YouTube. I think all of that has had a direct result in why this game has come about. So people can basically have these experiences doing these crazy things like wingsuiting between mountains and stuff without actually leaving the safety of their couch.
Oh yeah, definitely. You wouldn't catch me wingsuiting.
Is that because you go so fast? You're like Eric. You're so swift.
Yeah, so swift. I think I'm too swift for that.
Good times.
But yeah, no, I am excited for it, sort of from an intellectual perspective.
Yes. I like the study behind the mindset of the extreme sports enthusiast.
Mm-hmm. I don't think I'll be
know
picking.
what you mean. I think it's yeah. Even if I wasn't interested in the sports themselves, I think that it is a good area for gaming to move back into.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
More things for more people is always really good.
Yes, exactly.
Speaking
and you never know, they might bridge it out. Yes, speaking of
more things for more people, less Final Fantasy for you, Phil.
Yes, I know. I'm very sad about this, but at the same time, I'm never annoyed when a game delays itself, because at the end of the day, like they said, basically we can either release it now and have a massive day one patch, or we can just delay it for 2 months and fix the things we want to fix, and then the game will be good. And I'd rather they did that than have the No Man's Sky situation where it released and they said, yeah, but you need to patch it, otherwise you're not actually playing the game we meant to release. Which is a very odd situation to be in. It's like, I don't have internet. Like, if I'd bought No Man's Sky and I was moving the day after and I couldn't download the patch or something like that, then what am I supposed to do? Wait until I have internet before I play the game that I spent £50 buying, or what?
Yeah, exactly. Ubisoft have been back to Ubisoft again. They have been very guilty of doing exactly that in the past.
Yeah.
Assassin's Creed releases that have just been awful.
Oh god, Unity's release was just horrendous. I didn't even pick it up. I was so excited about it because it like brought in proper stealth mechanics and all sorts. I was like, so I didn't even buy it.
Yeah, no, I was kind of in a similar boat. The amount of games. WoW is another one that's pretty guilty for it at times. Releasing stuff that's not finished, cutting content on release and patching it in later.
Yeah, Gallywix.
Gallywix. But then all of Warlords of Draenor.
Yeah.
it's
But
it's
even
gonna
they
be
seem to be learning from it. Like when they axed the area from release for Legion. I can't remember what it's called now. It was one of
Tanan
the...
Jungle.
No, for Legion. One of the areas in
Oh
that
yeah,
was axed, and they're going to add it in when they've properly done it to the standards they like or something.
yeah. I think. Yeah, I totally agree. I think it's the right decision for them to make. It's Final Fantasy's too big a thing to get wrong.
Absolutely.
Um, the, what was the last big normal Final Fantasy release?
13, which was, I want to say 2013. I'm going to Google that now.
But yeah, it was quite a long time ago. People have been excited for this for a long time. They've had a lot of
2009.
2009, yeah.
I'm actually 13.
Because then there was the online debacle of Final Fantasy.
Yeah, I mean that came back. They kind of relaunched it, didn't they? And it was a lot more popular again.
And it's still shit.
So jaded.
But Final Fantasy, they can't afford to get things wrong. There's so many good JRPGs coming out now.
Yeah.
Whereas, Final Fantasy, they were the only ones that were widely known.
Yeah, and certainly in the West, they were
in the West.
the golden child
I'm
of
speaking from a
JRPGs,
position of complete ignorance here.
Yeah.
People no doubt correct me and say, "Oh, what about this? What about that?" But everyone knew Final
Dragon
Fantasy,
Quest.
and everyone, when you saw a JRPG, you're like, "Oh, that's like a Final Fantasy game."
Yeah. Yeah, no, definitely. I mean, even though Final Fantasy 15, going by the demos, does seem to have moved towards an almost more action RPG kind of route.
Yes, world action RPG.
Even
definitely.
so, they are still kind of like the byword for Japanese role-playing games. Because they've built up that brand, and like as you say, I don't think they can get it wrong, and I think they know this, especially after the kind of reaction to 13, because so many people did not like 13.
Yeah.
And to be honest, I got about halfway through it, and I really like Final Fantasy. I have art pieces around, and I've got signed bits and pieces and figures and whatnot. And I still couldn't finish 13 because the combat was just on rails almost. You just basically set up your presets and then press buttons, and stuff happened. And then occasionally your character's got low on health. You press the button to change to the healing setup, and then waited and more stuff happened.
It almost felt like they'd abandoned the game and moved more towards the cinematic side of it. You're setting up the cinematic combat.
Yeah.
Which is cool. But I still want to play a game.
Yeah,
I don't mind the 4-hour cutscenes, but I still, at the end of it, I want to do something.
Yeah, and there is something still very fun about the kind of two lines of people standing opposite each other attacking in sequence type thing.
Yeah,
it's one of the reasons why
I'm
still
to it.
Like that's why Final Fantasy X re-release happened and was pretty popular in sales.
Oh, 10.
10 was so good.
10's the one with Blitzball, isn't it?
Yeah.
Oh, it's
so good.
So awful.
Yeah.
Did you play? Did you actually play all the Blitzball?
Oh no, I didn't play the Blitzball.
Yeah, I have a friend whose favorite bit of Final Fantasy X was the Blitzball.
Yeah. I liked it. I thought it was okay. I didn't devote a lot of time to it, but it was fun.
7 is the best.
Oh yes, 7 is easily the best for me. And lots of people would be like, "Oh, you're only saying that because it's mainstream," but no.
No.
It was the first game that I once got up at 3 a.m. to go play before school. So for me, that's a solid seal of approval. I spent the many hours in the battle arena farming for Omni Slash. All these things. It was the first game I properly spent time on.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah, I need to stop hitting this thing so hard because I've got aggro.
Kite it to Orgrimmar.
Yeah, that's gonna end well. Yeah, no, what are you more excited for, 15 or the 7 re-release?
I don't know. I mean, 15 at the moment because I just don't know when the 7 re-release is even happening.
Yeah.
So,
mind you, do we know? I think 15 was a September release, been moved back to November.
Yeah.
So about a 2-month delay,
Yeah, it's about
which
2 months delay, which is after if you've been waiting for it since it was like Final Fantasy 13 Versus or whatever it was. Like I think that's what the title was originally when it was announced. Then it's
growing into something
it's
completely.
already been like 6-7 years. So another 2 months for a proper fan really shouldn't be that much of an issue.
Yeah, I know, definitely,
For a
definitely.
proper fan.
It seems to be the
People.
year of delayed releases, though.
Yeah.
Final Fantasy, Total War Warhammer, No Man's
But
Sky
is
was
it
delayed.
is it because, as you said, there was a whole ream of issues like Batman or the Ubisoft stuff with Assassin's Creed? Is it because they saw the backlash from that and thought it's better to take the stick for being delayed than take the stick for it being shit on release?
Yeah, no, I 100%. Yeah, I think so.
Because if that is the case, then I really hope it is, because at least that proves that people are learning and executives are learning that we won't put up with shitty games.
Yeah, no, definitely. I 100% think that's the reason.
Yeah.
Because it was it last year with. I think Unity was the last of the big ones, but there was a
And
load
Syndicate
last year.
after that.
Oh, Syndicate was after that. Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
Unity and Syndicate were pretty. Syndicate was better.
Syndicate was a lot better. I've played that on PC and it's really good actually.
But still, it had a load of issues on release.
Yeah. I mean, I didn't play it on release. I
But then
kind of sworn off
Batman and
Syndicate.
there was so many in the past 2-3 years. I would go as far to say that were just ridiculous. I think not Dragon Soul, because that's the rating here. What's the one? Dragon Age.
Yeah, Dragon Age Inquisition.
Inquisition.
One,
yeah, it had a load of issues on release. It needed to be patched.
Yeah.
Fallout had a lot of issues on release.
But that's Bethesda for you.
Yeah, but I think people are just like people won't put up with it anymore.
Yeah. They're mad as hell and they're not going to take it anymore.
Yeah, and I 100% agree. I think we pay for a finished product. We don't pay to buy something and then have to spend 2 hours downloading a patch. You pay 50, 60, sometimes almost 60 quid for a game now.
Yeah, especially
more
it's
if you're buying collector's
it's even more
editions.
galling if you've invested in the brand and gone for the collector's edition with all the fancy editions. Where the hell is the thing?
It's flying up here.
Oh, we've got to kill the ads first, and then he drops down, doesn't he?
Yeah.
But yeah, it's really galling if you spend that much money on a collector's edition. You've got all the branding, you feel really invested in the game, and then it turns out to be a crock of shit that you can't play. Yeah, then it's especially disappointing. And I think there's been enough people with grievances that have voiced it online and with their wallets, hopefully, that people are bringing to take notice. And I think it's a positive trend that we're seeing.
I very rarely buy a game on release now. I wait. Like No Man's Sky, I was really excited for, and I was like, you know what? I'm gonna wait. I'll see how it is. See what people are saying about it, and I'm glad I didn't buy it on release because it's had so many issues. It's not really the game. Yeah, it's not really the game they advertised it to be, and I'm really glad I've not bought it. I'm sure that it's a really cool game, and I'm sure they will add loads of cool stuff to it. But I'm not going to buy it now. I'll maybe pick it up later.
Yeah, no, definitely. I know what you mean.
So yeah, we're pro Final Fantasy being delayed. Well.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we'd be pro it being done on time and working.
Yeah.
But if delayed and working is the sweet point, then we'll go for that over on time and shit.
Yeah. So, speaking of shit, Gears of War 4.
That's an awkward segue. It's an awkward segue.
No. Another Xbox shooter.
Yeah, I will hold my hands up and say I loved Gears of War 1 to 3. Yes, even 3, the one that everyone decides to shit on for some reason. I thought they had solid mechanics. They were really fun, and like the over-the-topness was justified, given that they stuck with it and played it dead straight all the time.
See, I preferred a very similar game. In fact, I preferred Space Marine. It's similar. You're a big clunky man shooting baddies, because I don't know. I think I'm just a bit more invested in the backstory of that world.
Right,
Um,
yeah.
but I think I played 1, 2. I didn't play 3.
I got really caught up because the first one was like the big 360 title that they advertised at E3, and I got caught up with the hype in that, and I felt it was just about justified in terms of it really hooked me into the world and the mystery behind it all. And then 2 and 3 just kind of built on the mechanics and built on the story and the gameplay. I mean, I've got some of the books and comics and things like that. I was a proper Gears of War nerd.
You buying like comics and books and stuff in a game show. That's really a character
I
for you,
know,
Phil.
I know. It was unusual. That's what Gears of War does to me.
Um, the thing that was announced at
Oh, my
Gamescom
gears were broken.
was the PC specs, which I had a look at and was surprisingly forgiving.
Hmm.
Um, I
What are
think.
we? Have you got them available?
Oh, I did. I think there was a typo in it because the minimum requirement was uh, 8 gig of VRAM, but then the recommended was 4.
Yeah.
So that seems like a typo.
Yes.
Possibly,
No. It on the one I'm looking at, you got minimum requirements 8 gig of VRAM, recommended 16 gig, ultra 8 gig, which yes does seem slightly off.
I think there's maybe been a bit of confusion there. I think that's maybe just RAM as opposed to VRAM.
Yeah.
Um,
Because that would seem
that
excessive in the VRAM
yeah,
arena.
like you're needing what, like twin linked Titan X's to play it on
Yeah.
recommended, but to play it on Ultra, you'll be all right with not having that. Yeah, I think that. But reading between the lines of what's probably
Hmm.
those numbers probably mean seems fairly forgiving. You can play it in a moderately
Yeah.
powerful.
I mean, ultra. I mean, the CPU requirements 3.5 gig i5 4690. They're talking about here, which is a decent chip, but it's not like a 6700 i7 or anything like that.
No, no, no. I was surprised that
Yeah,
they.
what I think it is it basically shows that they've taken the Xbox One game and they've properly optimized it for PC for once. And I think
That's
usually the problem you get with console ports is they just don't.
yes,
They
yeah. Oh
just
yeah,
throw in
100%.
loads of uncompressed textures and throw stuff at you that kind of maybe works.
Yeah, they're just like, I'll just cut and paste it. It'll be fine.
Yeah.
Um, and 9 times out of 10, because PC gamers tend to, most that I know anyway, tend to have a more powerful machine than they need.
Yeah.
You don't notice it, but certainly for myself, I don't have the most um, up-to-date machine.
What
Because
are
I'm gonna.
you running at the moment?
Oh, let me get my specs. I have them
You don't know
available.
off the top of your head? What kind of
No, I
nerd
don't
are
have
you?
off the top of my head.
Jesus.
But yeah, I've got
Tanking the
16
boss.
gig 16 gig
No, no.
uh,
Not anymore.
RAM. I've got a 960 4 gig card. Um, I'll post my specs in the thing afterwards, probably easier.
Yeah.
Because I can't remember the numbers on my chip. It's an i5.
Yeah.
But I can't remember the numbers on
I
it.
mean, I'm
'Cause
running a pretty old i5 3570 overclocked to 4.2, and it seems to handle most things I throw at it at the moment, although it is probably the bottleneck in my system now.
Yeah, yeah.
But yeah, no, I
But
certainly know that, yeah, even if you're overspec for most PC games, console ports can prove kind of difficult to run for what they are.
yeah, 100%. Again, kind of coming back to Fallout 4, almost at times felt like a console port. Like I've played quite a lot of Fallout 4, and a friend of mine has played a lot of it on Xbox, and I've kind of watched him play.
Yeah.
And to be honest, I'm running it on Ultra or like the max settings, and it doesn't look any better than it does on the Xbox.
Yeah, the tech. Oh, I just got one shot by the boss. The textures don't seem to have that much depth to them.
No.
Everything's kind of a bit cartoony, which I don't know whether that's just the aesthetic they were going for.
It kind of almost just felt like a reskinned 3.
Yeah.
Like, it didn't look that much nicer.
I mean, the
than
lighting
3.
shaders were better.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
the
Like,
animations were.
it didn't feel like a
about
game that
better.
came out 6 years after 3.
Yeah. I know what you
Because
mean. Less brown.
because I feel like it was a bit of a console port.
Yeah. Okay.
And you know, let's not get into bashing Fallout 4 because it's a really awesome game. I'm not faulting the game at all, but more focusing, as I say, on console and PC. And this is maybe says more about console gaming now than it does about PC gaming. Is that console gaming shit hot now?
Hmm.
You know, it's very difficult
Especially
to be a
there are certain
gamer snob.
titles you look at that are on consoles, and they look fantastic. Like Uncharted 4, it's a phenomenal looking game. And then you look at some other things that come out of it and are on PC as well, and take a million processes to run, and you think, why is this so much harder?
Yeah, why is someone who's running this on their Xbox
Yeah.
that's probably cost what, a third of the price of a
Probably
top?
about the same as a graphics card.
Yeah, as well, it's a third of a price of a top.
Was
Well,
that-
even not even a top end gaming PC.
half the price of my graphics card when I bought it. Stupid,
Grumble.
1080.
What are you running a 980 Ti?
Yeah.
Yeah, and the 10 series is out now, isn't it?
Yeah. Should we go down to Tenaris?
Yeah, let's go to Tenaris and not talk about the 10 series.
Yes.
It's a sore point.
Yes.
But
yeah, so I mean, yeah, really, it's nice to see what seems to be on the surface a properly optimized console port. Saying that, it is still huge in that it's taking up 80 gigs of hard drive space.
Oh, it's massive. I was, and it was like,
I
we
do not
recommend
look
you
forward
put it
to
on an SSD.
I don't
I'm gonna have
look
to buy a
forward
new
to-
SSD to put that on.
I don't look forward to anyone who decides to buy that off the Windows Store and has to download it if they don't have a properly fast fiber connection.
Oh yeah, that would take me a week to download. My internet is garbage.
You'd have to
which
go
is
to
why-
work, download it, and then bring it back on like lots of floppy disks for your computer.
Yeah, it'd be like installing SimCity on my like Windows 95 family PC. Them were the days.
Yeah. But yeah, no. I think we've exhausted the topic of console ports and whether they're good or bad or whatever.
Speaking of shit console ports, Star Wars Battlefront.
Jamie, we can't transition between every topic with speaking of shit.
Yeah, no.
We'll piss everyone off.
Battlefront.
No, Battlefront. It was fantastic to play on release, but it didn't have legs for me.
It was.
Will it have legs if they add in a VR X-Wing mode, which is what they're doing?
No.
No?
No, 100% no.
You get to be Rogue 5, Jamie.
Yeah, no. It's just trying to cash in on the VR porn. I'm gonna put my opinions out there, and I think that VR is going to be a bit of a flash in the pan.
I don't know. Like, yes, like it seems like a limited concept gaming thing, but I went to a Google education event and they were pitching Google Maps on a VR device in the classroom. So you buy a bank of like Galaxy S4s or whatever with the little Galaxy Gear headset thing, and you have them for the class, and you've got it like all set up for you. You can take them to a place and tell them where to look, and you can see where each headset is looking at based on obviously the triangulation data of where the camera is currently pointing, and it'll tell you whether they're looking at the thing that you're telling them to look at, and you can have text prompts put up and label things on the screen.
Oh yeah, no, like I totally see the value of it as an education tool.
I think because of that implementation of it, it will mean that devices will have to get cheaper for people to bring it on board.
Yeah.
And when it gets cheaper, that's when people will start using it more for games, especially with things like with Sony bringing the PlayStation VR. That is it's not cheap. It's still £300 something, but that is a much more accessible price point for VR on a system that you probably already have that is already cheaper than a PC that's required to run.
Yeah, I suppose. The thing is with VR on PC is you need a £600 set and then a £600 graphics card.
Yeah. But
£1,200 for.
But it's always expensive for the kind of the first wave.
Oh yeah. No, I agree. I agree. Um, I just
Or if you
think.
want to buy an iPhone,
Oh yeah. I just think.
Hi, Zorka.
I just don't think it's going to. We're still going to see like like if VR comes out, what's everything going to be first person from now on? You know, if
Yeah.
that becomes the mainstream, are we going to see like we're not going to see third person shooters anymore? We're not going to see MOBAs anymore. Um,
Well, I found Dota 2's implementation of VR really interesting.
yeah, no, that is really cool. You could
I don't.
watch
I
from a
Yeah. I
hero
mean,
perspective.
I don't think that VR will be the next big leap for all games. I think it's still going to remain a niche,
Hmm.
but I think it will be a niche that will become more popular.
Yeah,
Not everyone plays flight sims and has a X52 joystick, but there are some people that have it. Not everyone wants to play VR, but there are some people that will.
yeah, I think so. Um,
I think it's. I don't
is
think
it
it's like
enough to
3D.
save Battlefront? Is the next. Mind you, they've already got my money, so
Yeah, exactly.
they've already made a crap ton of money out of it.
I think it's gonna be huge. Personally,
Yeah,
yeah, I think that a lot of people will buy headsets for this, especially on the PlayStation.
maybe on the PlayStation. I don't think on the
For the
PC.
PC, less so because of the initial price point. But a lot of graphics card manufacturers are pitching their cards as VR ready and things like that. 488 gig card is pitched as a VR ready card
Yes, yeah,
and things like that.
as is the 10 series.
Yeah,
Um,
but like a 1060 or a 480 aren't that expensive in the general scheme of things, and if they can run a decent headset, and down the line headsets get cheaper because their mass production begins to come into a factor. It's all about production costs at the moment because they're so niche.
yeah,
They
yeah,
can't sell as many, so they're selling at a higher price. It's the same fallacy that cinemas try to use to put up prices. It's like, oh, not many people are coming to cinema. Let's up the prices to £20 a ticket. Yeah, because that'll make people want to go.
yeah,
And
yeah.
sit in a room full of smelly teenagers throwing popcorn at each other. Anyway, I used to work in a cinema.
Was it
You
you
get
throwing the popcorn?
no, I used to work in a cinema. I have to clean it up afterwards. Um, but I think it'll be horrendously popular. I mean, people are already excited about PlayStation VR. Like our friend John Evans, who also used to work on Backwards Compatible. He was astounded by some of the VR stuff he played at Eurogamer Expo last year. Astounded and terrified in equal measure, but
Yeah, he does get scared by
yeah.
the modern technologies a
I
little
think
bit.
that the amount that there's a subset of people who get nauseous and have kind of issues with VR, but I think they won't. Them not buying it will not be enough to make it fail.
See, I think it's going to be a bit like 3D movies. Like, I know obviously 3D, you still get movies that come out in 3D,
Yeah,
but when it Avatar wasn't the first 3D movie, but it was the first big one,
yeah.
and everyone got hyped about it and were like, "Oh, this is amazing."
It was
But
alright.
then the next sort of few 3D movies that I went to see maybe had like 10 minutes in 3D.
Hmm.
And I was like, well, this isn't worth paying this extra money for to see this
The best
extra 10 minutes.
the best 3D film I saw recently was The Force Awakens because it used it as a depth thing, not a there's a thing in your face thing,
Yeah, yeah.
which was much better.
The best 3D movie that I saw actually was the Alice in Wonderland Tim Burton. Because a lot of it was again, it was done as a depth thing. You're peering through the mysterious
Mm.
scenes and things like that. It was really, really cleverly done.
Yeah, I think when they use it
Um,
like that, it's much better.
but anyway, sort of the point that I'm making is everyone's like, "Oh, this is the future of cinema. No one's ever going to go and watch 2D movies anymore." And I won't. I now won't pay to go and see 3D
Yeah,
because
yeah,
it's
yeah.
not worth it. And I think VR is going to be a similar thing. Everyone's like going to be, "Oh, it's going to be the future of gaming. Going to be the future of how you're going to look at the world." But it's not really.
I think it's here to stay, but it will be in limited quantities,
Hmm.
unless it it could go the way of the PlayStation Move, in that it was fantastic technology, but just criminally underused and underpushed, and so no one played it, and then it just kind of faded away because no one tried to use it. But playing, what's it called? What's the sci-fi shooter on PlayStation? Hell had the Hell's guy in it. Oh, what's it called?
Hellbound?
No,
That's something
I'm
else.
gonna Google it now. Hang on. Sci-fi FPS. No. Oh, I can't remember what it is. Anyway, that one. I'll have a look in a second. I've got the game somewhere. But you could use the PlayStation Move as a controller in that, and you could move around and shoot in like as if you were there. It's kind of basically like VR but on the screen.
Yeah.
It's as close you got to a light gun game as you could, because it used the camera, and because the PlayStation Move had really good motion tracking. You know, even orientation wise. But because they undersold it and because they didn't push it, no other games really used it, and so it just kind of fell apart. And I think if Sony can make it work on their console and get people to develop for it, that cross-platform developers will take it, and then that will add support in for PC, and then all those people that bought their like Oculus Rift dev kits and HTC Vives and all that will suddenly have a lot of games to play, and they'll go to their friends, oh, this is amazing, and then there'll be a cheaper headset out by them because they've perfected the technology, and then it will kind of roll from there. So I really think that the PlayStation VR is kind of going to be the turning point rather than the PC consumer sets.
Yeah, I suppose. My thing is, do you just think are devs going to take that risk? Are they going to be like, yeah, we'll pay that extra money to develop a VR capable game?
Well, this is again where the kind of the Sony push comes from, because obviously they're making the kit and they have in-house developers. So if they decide to push it properly and create enough hype that people want to own a PlayStation VR, it's whether it spreads to that multi-platform developer base or not.
Yes,
is the key thing,
I don't know if they'll be willing to invest in it. It's a lot of money for a dev team and then to effectively write out a large percentage of your audience who don't have VR. Obviously, it's okay once everyone has VR and uses it, but it's who's going to take that plunge?
Yeah, I can see
that. But anyway, something a bit more positive.
Oh, Killzone, that was it.
Killzone,
that was the series I was thinking of.
Yeah, the baddies in it were like hell somethings, weren't they?
Yeah.
They're like the gas mask guys.
Yeah. Sci-fi Nazis. But going from Battlefront to a different Battlefield.
Battlefield 1.
There was a lot of live stream gaming sessions for Battlefield 1 at Gamescom. Lots of people playing it without Zac Efron or Jamie Foxx, unlike the launch event, thankfully. We saw a lot of really, really cool moments, like a freaking armored train covered in guns driving through the map, deploying destruction everywhere. That was probably pretty cool.
Yeah, definitely.
And it basically just made it look like an updated version of Battlefield 1942. I know it's set in World War One, but they seem to have taken slight licenses or liberties with what weapons were around in World War One and how.
It's like an alternate history World War One.
Yeah, kind of. I think they're claiming that it's true to roots, but I think the guns work a lot better than they would have done in World War One.
Yeah.
And there's less sitting in trenches for 17 days waiting to die of trench foot or whatever.
Yeah, that wouldn't make a very good game.
A lot more kind of kinetic.
So it might be an interesting VR title.
Just call it foot.
It comes with a foot spa as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I'm super hyped for Battlefield 1, and I'm not even a massive fan of first-person shooters, and I haven't played a Battlefield game for God knows how long. I think the last one I played was on the 360, maybe.
Wow. Okay, so that would mean.
And when the 360 was new, it was round about the same time that Oblivion maybe came out.
Okay. I can't even think of what that. Oh, that might have been one of the bad companies. They were
possible. So yeah, no, I'm really looking forward to it.
Yeah.
They seem to be definitely winning the first person shooter off with Call of Duty.
Well, you say that some people are really looking forward to Infinite Warfare because it looks really different. And I didn't realize this, but the story talent behind the Infinite Warfare plot are from Naughty Dog, and they worked on The Last of Us and Uncharted.
And
Now,
Crash
and
Bandicoot.
yeah, no, but I mean the writers directly worked on the story for The Last of Us.
And Crash Bandicoot.
No, because there's no story in Crash Bandicoot.
Exactly. My point still stands.
Anyway, so
But yeah, no, I know
I
what
mean
you're
that
saying.
is an insanely good storytelling pedigree to have when bringing in fresh bloods to a kind of slightly older series with the kind of jaded viewpoint. So I think they're going to have a tough battle on their hands. But where Infinite Warfare almost seems to be focusing more on the single player currently, Battlefield is all about the multiplayer, and it looks really good.
Yeah, the horses look so cool. That was the big thing they were showing off
Yeah, the horse
at
charges, the
Gamescom.
tanks look insane.
Yeah, the horses are, they work a little bit like an open-topped vehicle. Like you can be shot off the top and someone can
Yeah.
your horse. And you can one-shot someone, but you have to get there. Um,
Yeah.
I think is the sort of the
It's a high
caveat to that.
risk, high rewards type gameplay.
Yeah, it's definitely great for like rushing points, rushing objectives.
They're
Um,
basically the bikes of the World War One setting.
yes, yeah. Um, are you going to be picking this up on release? Is the next question.
Well, a lot of people I know have had issues with games on release from the from
Battlefield
DICE,
games, yeah.
but I have not. I seem to have been removed from whatever curse has afflicted people who wanted to play the series, and I've never had an issue. And it comes up a lot in threads when we're talking about this game, and everyone's like, "Oh, but the release was awful." I'm like, "What was it? Oh, okay." So I'm pretty solidly there. I think I love playing Battlefield Online, especially I actually love it more when it's fresh, because people aren't quite so clued up on what to do. It's same with Call of Duty actually. When people aren't running around throwing all the elite hard strats at you with the 360 no scopes and stuff, and still getting used to the mechanics a little bit, then it's a kind of a slightly better game.
Yes, yeah.
But no, I think I'm going to be there on release.
Yeah, I think I'll
Even
probably
more
go.
so if there's a free special edition that has a bayonet.
Oh shit! What the? Some monster just charged the graveyard.
Yeah, I think he was like here, doing monster things.
It's a bit awkward.
So everyone that's dying has decided to fight him rather than the one they're all dying at. And it's like, oh, good.
But yeah, no, I'm pretty excited for Battlefield 1. Do we have a release date for Battlefield 1? I think we do.
I think we-
November rings a bell,
Yeah.
but
Quick Googling. October 21st, 2016.
October 21st, 2016. So a fairly quick turnaround from the announcement trailer to the release. Given that Battlefield aren't really doing the 1 year, 1 game thing at the minute, are they?
I don't know.
4, when was 4 released? To Google.
Yeah.
Um,
It's quite easy because I just changed one number. That was October 29th, 2013. So it's going to be almost exactly 3 years.
yeah, so you'd
Although
think...
remember Hardline was in between.
Yeah, but Hardline was kind of almost like a mini-game,
Hardline was weird. It had quite a good single player. That was March 17th, 2015. So it's going to be a year and a half since the last Battlefield title, but
the first main Battlefield title, though, is going to be 3 years. So I would have thought they would have probably had a longer tease time, for want of better phrase. But no.
I think there's kind of two camps on game announcements. One is where you announce it stupidly early, and then everyone's kind of like picks bits of information up over the next 3 years.
Yeah.
Or you announce it and then it's out like 2 months later, whilst the hype is still fresh. And I prefer the latter purely because there's less waiting around.
But in terms of, I'm just kind of thinking, because the Infinite Warfare trailer was out 2 weeks before the Battlefield 1.
Yeah.
And they bring out a new COD every year. Mm-hmm. They're obviously working on the new. I think that's possibly why COD's a bit shoddy on release, because they're already working on the next one.
Yeah. Well, I mean, they cycle between 3 different developers, so it's really like a 3-4 year cycle for each game. It's just the release cycle is different.
Yeah, yeah.
Like, it's Infinity Ward is doing this, but the last Treyarch did Black Ops 3, and I can't remember who even.
And this is more. It's the same as Modern Warfare people that.
Yeah,
are
yeah.
doing
So this is the actual original developer that started the whole thing.
Yeah.
And ironically, also made the worst game in the series, which was Ghosts, which was a bit shit. But anyway, yeah. So
Battlefield 1. Sorry, this is a new thing, but it's not new that we get sidetracked in these things.
No, we always get
but we
sidetracked.
would just get used to it. It's live.
Yeah.
Deal with it.
It's live. Fuck it, we'll do it live. Yeah. So Battlefield 1, really excited for it. Some really good gameplay. If you can find the stream, go watch it because they do quite a good job of switching around and giving you overviews of what's happening. And they've got some pretty good commentators. I think they're from the Battlefield 3-4 hardline pro scene. Not something I'm very familiar with at all.
No, not at all. But yeah, they seem to know what they were talking about. Definitely. I think it's going to be really cool. I just want to fly a Zeppelin.
Yeah, you're all about the Zeppelins. Led or otherwise.
And finally, I suppose.
Finally, at the end of the hour of discussion and chat, Dark Souls 3, really minor announcement.
Made an announcement about an announcement.
Which is now being confirmed as more DLC, yay, or some DLC even.
I think it was a fairly good guess.
The Ashes of Alaria, which doesn't really seem to have triggered anything with anyone that I know knows stuff about the series. But they've confirmed that there will be a light-filled boomerang weapon, ice magic, and new weapons and areas to go to. And also that there will be a dedicated PvP area, but no one's quite sure how that's going to work. Whether it's just an area you walk into and you whack your red soapstone down, or whether it's something slightly more complicated than that.
Yeah, I think a lot of people are just fed up of getting ganked.
Yeah. There were some pretty heavy areas. Just after Pontiff Sulivan in 3 was a nightmare.
Oh, yeah. So, will you be picking this up?
I'm not sure. I haven't actually finished Dark Souls 3 yet anyway. So I don't know if more content is what I need right now. Potentially, I think it's coming out... Oh, when was it? I think it was, again, towards the end of the year, October, November, December. It's going to be a very busy Christmas. Towards the end of the year. So I might have finished it by then. But I don't know. So it really all plays on that. But I think the first 2 DLC will be available on their own, and then anything else after that you have to buy the season pass for. So again, that might factor into my decision. If there's the season pass cheap on Steam, something like that, Steam sales are always good for picking up season passes.
Yes, there's a top tip from people who spend too much money in the Steam sale.
Yeah, exactly.
Don't we all? But I think the official announcement is tomorrow.
Yes.
But everyone kind of knew it was going to be DLC. I picked up Dark Souls 3, played it for about 20 minutes. I was like, no, this
just got annoyed. Yeah.
Yeah.
Was that your first Dark Souls game?
Yes, it was.
Yeah, 3 was mine as well. I don't know whether it just reached a level of graphical niceness that meant I think could put up with it.
You watched Palytime play it.
Oh yes, that was it. I'd never seen anyone play a Dark Souls game and never had any interest in it. And then Palytime started playing it, and I knew he'd been through 1 and 2, and so I was like, oh, which 3? And the first area already, I was hooked enough to want to sort of try it out. I think it just gave me kind of a bit more information about what the game was about and how you did stuff. Before that, I'd played 5 minutes of Demon's Souls on the PS3 because it was free. And didn't really get anywhere.
Yeah. I'm a really big fan of the lore for Dark Souls, such as it is.
Yes, such as it is. Yeah, I love reading about the story, and I love all the flavor text on the items and stuff. Yeah,
I think... And Dark Souls fans out there are going to be like, Jamie, you're a moron. Why are you saying this? But I would love that if they just had a casual mode.
Yeah.
It's not. I know it's totally against the point of the game, but just I just want to pick it up and play it and enjoy the
Well, I guess they kind of do. If you have a friend and do everything co-op, it's a lot easier.
I don't have a friend.
No. Well, we could do some co-op. Maybe we could stream some co-op. We'll think about it and see what we can organise. We have talked about this before.
Yeah,
I
yeah, we
think
definitely have.
Matt has got it as well, who's also from Backwards Compatible. And
Um,
I don't know if you can do 3-person.
yeah,
I think we may be able to sort
pass.
something out.
I
Let's see what
know
we
I
can
know
work out.
Cody's a really big fan of it as well.
Or 4
Um,
maybe pushing it.
4 might be pushing it, yeah. And plus
Yeah.
Cody will just call us bellends.
Yeah, as is his way.
That's just his way.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, I'd love just as I said, it's totally not what the series is about, and I know why they don't do it because it would
Yeah.
totally deviate. But it would just be cool. I just want to pick it up
Yeah,
and
I mean,
faff about.
there's definitely is like an attractiveness to the mystique of the world. The fact that it's
Mhm.
always presented as like this is what the world once was, and now it is in this state, and because of the transition from one to the other, everything is slightly lost and to time and myth.
Yeah, what I really like about it as well, I like the art style of the game.
Yeah,
It
some of
reminds
the
me of,
monsters are just terrifying.
oh yeah, definitely. It reminds me a lot of Magic the Gathering cards. Um,
Okay,
I,
yeah, yeah,
I
yeah, yeah.
don't really know how familiar you are with it, but I've
I
just
know bits and
recently
pieces.
relapsed into Magic the Gathering, um, and the sort of the certainly the zombie and the undead style is very similar.
Hmm.
Um, that it's just part of life as well. That just being undead is just something that exists and people get
Yeah,
on
yeah,
with
yeah.
it. Again, sort of some similar themes there. I think that's why it appeals to me. But I'll be honest, I don't have the time to invest in a hardcore game like that and have to spend like, an hour trying to master the timings on a boss. It's the same reason I don't raid anymore. I just don't have the time for it.
Yeah, I can understand that. I think it's one of those things where it's a game where I'm glad to have played it, and I'm glad to have played it through. I'm glad to have played a game like it once, but I don't think I'd want every game to be like that, and I don't think I'd want to play a game like that every year.
Ever again. Yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah, definitely. It's maybe something I'm going to revisit.
Mm.
It's kind of difficult, like for me to just have a few hours to dedicate to gaming where I'm not kind of doing something else at the same time.
Yeah,
Um, I'm either, like I'm on Skype with my friends playing Minecraft, or we're recording or something like that.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Uh, it's hard enough for me to play Heroes and still stay vaguely human to the people that I'm interacting with. Um, Dark Souls is just not something that I could devote time to without giving up something else.
I did not know Tyrael's Charger was in WoW.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Is it a bought mount or is it an achievement or?
I think it was a recruit a friend mount.
What?
Um,
But yeah, no, Dark Souls. It's definitely an experience. I think everyone should play it, well, attempt to play at least one.
yeah, at least. Well, not necessarily Dark Souls
Well,
one,
no,
but
no,
at
not
least
necessarily.
the
At least
series.
one game in the series.
Oh yeah, you can pick them up for like a fiver on Steam now. The older ones,
Yeah,
like,
yeah, yeah. The
and
kind
you
of
you know
collector's
it's
edition Game of the Year type stuff with all the DLC in it as well.
yeah, yeah. You'd be silly not to for that price. And if you've got like a weekend or a week off where you're not doing something, it's something you can certainly enjoy.
Yeah.
Um, like I say, just for the style of gaming that I sort of am involved in, um, which is more kind of I like a game I can almost play with like half my brain switched off,
Hmm.
which is why I like LFR, because I can experience the content of the raid without having to spend hours on the same boss. Um, and devoting time to raiding and grinding and getting gear and stuff like that. I just don't
Yeah,
have the
yeah,
time
yeah.
for that. And when I do have spare time, I want to be making content or playing with my friends.
Yeah.
Uh, Dark
There's
Souls,
such a breadth of gaming content out there. It is hard to keep up with it all, especially when one title takes up so much time.
oh yeah,
Yeah.
definitely, definitely.
Oh.
But yeah, so there'll be more on the Dark Souls announcement tomorrow, I think.
Yep.
Um,
The 24th, if you're watching this after the date of transmission.
yeah. So probably those of you who are watching it after it's gone live, you'll probably know more about it than us.
Yes.
Uh,
If you could send an email back in time to tell us, and then we'll update this bit when we receive that, that would be fantastic.
yeah.
Thank you.
Cheers.
Cool. All right. Well, there's a lot more stuff to come out of BlizzCon, come out of Gamescom. It did feel a bit BlizzCon-y with the amount of announcements. But we will save that for another time, probably when they come up on the PTR. We've already mentioned it in some of our live streams that the Machines of War event is coming to Heroes of the Storm, with Alarak and Zarya as the heroes, and 2 new maps, which are looking very exciting, that are StarCraft themed. And coming to WoW, we have Legion on August the 30th. Jamie, I believe you're doing a mad 24-hour live stream to level from 100 to cap.
Yes,
all
I
in
am.
one go.
So I'm going to be soloing it. Well, not soloing it, but Phil is, as he's moving house and doesn't have any internet.
What are you living vicariously through Jamie's exploits on YouTube?
He's not going to be able to stream, sadly.
Yeah.
I think Keith, who has joined us for a couple of things, maybe that haven't gone live yet, a really good friend of mine is our guild master and WoW, is going to be joining us or joining me. Loads of my friends that you've maybe seen from streams before, from old Heroes streams, are going to be joining me, dipping in and out. We're going to be putting the gang back together. It really feels like we're putting the gang back together for it. We're going to be power leveling, no sleep till 1:10. I am so excited. I've booked 2 days off work for it. I've cut my holiday in London a day short so I can come back early and get ready for it. I
did think you were cutting it a bit close when you said you were around those dates. I was like,
Yeah, we were gonna come down to London for a couple more days. But we're not, because I need to play WoW. I'm so excited for it, so hyped. I'm fingers crossed there's no release issues. Blizzard seems to be putting a lot of work into not having any release issues.
yeah.
It seems to be a big focus with phasing the different instances. They've improved their phasing technology. But yeah, I'm so hyped. Please drop in and out. I'm going to need the support. I'm going to be laughing, crying, shouting. I am emotional at the best of times, but without sleep, I turn into a right knobhead. So I'm going to need everyone to keep me going through that. So please,
alternatively, you wish to join and just shout insults at him and make him salty, then that would also be hilarious.
That's also an option. Just should link me to.
Oh, your build's all wrong.
Yeah, link me to pictures of everything I'm doing wrong and things like that.
Just food, sleep, things like that.
Yeah. And then we're going to be hitting it hard with Adventures in Azeroth Season 2, which I am also so hyped about.
If you don't know what that is, it's basically a series that we did on Backwards Compatible, looking at some of the older content in the run-up to Legion. We have a prologue that will be hitting soon. I can't put a definitive date on it because of the house move. That should give you a taste for what sort of content we'll be doing come Legion.
Yeah, so we're going to be checking out all the cool lore stuff. We're going to get Cody in to show us how to build our characters properly, because we suck, and Cody's really good at that. We're going to have Keith telling us about raid tactics, because we suck and Keith's really good at that. I'm so hyped. I'm so excited.
Good times. So, well, thank you for watching, whether it was live or on demand. If you liked the video, give us a thumbs up. If you didn't, give us a thumbs down and leave a comment saying why and what you think we should change. If you liked what you saw, as well as giving us a thumbs up, also hit the subscribe button and you can get more content, as we'll be pushing out loads of more stuff and doing loads more live streams of various different games over the next coming weeks. I less so, but all the other guys will be hitting stuff onto the channel. For now, thank you for watching, and we will see you again soon. Goodbye.
Bye.